Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of Straight Up Show podcast. I am your host, Calvin. Hey, today is a great day, and we're slowly winding down the season of our podcast, and we had a lot of laughs, we learned a lot, and I have had so much fun just learning about different people and culture. And if you're a fan of our show, you know that we embrace other cultures and we love learning from other people. Today, no different. And if you've been watching our show, you know that we have a series called Cultural Conversations. It's a show, a series where we talk to different ethnicities about their cultures to try to get a better understanding. Because if you listen to our show, most people outside of America, they always think that it's just black and white, or what people in America think it's just black and white. No, there's way more to America than black and white. There's way more than just other people in our country. So we want to venture out to talk to other people. Today, we're actually staying in the country. We're not going to Europe or to Australia or in Africa. I'm pretty sure Africa's tired of us right now, but we're staying in home. But we want to talk about and this is a word that I hate. So a lot of y'all get ready to laugh at me, but we're gonna talk about Pacific Islanders. There we go. I got it. Whew. Like today, I'm gonna have a hard time saying that, but Pacific Islanders, and mostly with the Polynesian culture. And if y'all don't know, my first job, when I had some issues in high school, how to get a job, and one of my first jobs was at a restaurant in Shreveport, Louisiana, called Kontiki. And Mr. Tuck Wing Joe, he was our owner, and he gave me like my first ever job. I didn't have to sign an application. I just showed up and started washing dishes. But man, there was a Polynesian restaurant called Kontiki. If you remember that, y'all, it was some great food. And I've never even heard about Polynesian food or even seen a tiki man at all in my whole life. So to sit there and not only wash the dishes of this Polynesian food, but to see things like I never heard about tilapia or see different ways to make shrimp, or there were some items that know what a Mai Tai was. Like there were some items that I never even heard of. And so I've always been very curious about the Polynesian and Pacific Islander culture. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people know about the Samoans and stuff like that. But today we have a guest that is kind of a mixture of both. And this person I'm about to bring on today, I had to have her on my show. She is, and you know me, I have a knack for talent. You know, I have a knack to see people who are pretty good. And y'all loved it. Y'all give me feedback about the personalities on our show. This person is somebody that just stood out from the crowd. She has a personality that can light up a room. And I just, you know what? I have to have her on my show. This might be our last season, but damn it, I got to have her on my show because she has a personality that you all will like. So without further ado, help me welcome Miss Chi Chi. Chi Chi, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Yes, man, I'm doing good. And thank you so much for coming on the Straight Up Show podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
And you know what's crazy? I was nervous to ask you because I was like, I kept repeating, like, hey, yeah, I was nervous to ask you. I was like, I'm scared to ask her.
No, I was so nervous about like this whole thing. Like I was telling my sister about it. I was like, oh my gosh, Lolo, like it's today. I'm doing this for real. Like
And shout out to Lolo. You know, she couldn't be here today, but shout out to Lolo, who is just I think that like she is like I don't know. I can't tell. It's like you're the calm one, but she's like a tidbit of like, you know, you know.
she's just I get what you mean. She's a little something else.
She is definitely, but the whole family has personality. So and can you tell people how we actually met?
We met on one of my TikTok lives. And we mentioned Lolo who was there with me. I think at the time on the TikTok live we were talking about the Polynesian versus Caribbean beef on TikTok.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and when I heard that, I was just like, and you started going in about Polynesian culture, and I was like, you know, and it's a great sense of pride that you had, and it was like to add on to like your personality. but to see that you were passionate about who you are and what you are. And the thing about it is, Chi Chi was not scared to check people. So, like, she was like, "Look, there were some trolls," and she was like, "Hey, you know what? Say what you gotta say." But
Listen, I be having my fair share of trolls, especially on TikTok lives. Especially, I remember there was these. It was like me and Lolo's second time going live, right?
mm,
And it was actually we were talking about something. I don't remember what it was, but these people came in and they were like, "Oh, that's why Hawaii is um, only good for tourism. Without tourism, they wouldn't thrive." And I was like, "That's crazy." And me and Lola ended up going off on them, and because they were just saying like, "Oh, Hawaii this and Samoa's next," like they're like because there's American Samoa and Western Samoa, and so they were saying Western Samoa is next, like the next Hawaii, like it's only going to be able to thrive off of tourism. So we were going off in them, and then we got banned.
I don't understand the like TikTok because like I'm at that age. Yeah, I'm not for sure how old you are. You don't have to tell me.
Mhm.
But I'm at that age to where it's like I was born to where we still had like floppy disks and we still had like home phones to now we're like transitioning to like social media. I still have my MySpace page and I'm yeah, I still got it. Uh and so does it work? No, but I still got it though. It's still there. It's like some bad page break or something. But um so I'm at the age gap to where I don't understand the TikTok analytics or how you get banned. Like I don't go on live and stuff like that because it's just they're kind of picky, right?
I have my beef with TikTok. It's like every time I get on live, I get banned, and usually the reasoning is for bullying and harassment or like something rude behavior. I mean, sometimes I get it. Sometimes I get it, but the other like 80% of the time, I'm like, I the most I was doing was cussing.
Right. And you can cuss
So
on here too. The running joke on this show is that people will laugh at me and say, well, all the cussing that Calvin's done. Because when y'all cuss on the show, my other co-host, Brandon, Christina, when we cuss on the show, I have to go in and insert the bleepers, which is like, you know, which is okay, but I don't care, So it's really rare to hear me cuss, but we don't care. Be yourself. We don't care. But yeah, that's crazy. So for the people that don't know you on social media, just tell us about who you are, and if you want to tell us where you're from, just tell us about who you are, a little bit about you.
my name is Savalinga. Pronounced with an N, spelled without an N. That's what I always tell everybody. It's Samoan. But a lot of people know me by Chi Chi. A lot of people actually think that's my real name. But I live here in Tacoma, Washington with my family. I have a big old family. Most Polynesian families do. I have five brothers and three sisters. I'm currently working and I go to school here, community college, nothing special, but you know, got to get that education somehow.
Hey, you know what? Do you know we started in community college? Like
Yeah, that's
this,
right. That's right.
yeah. Come on, like, hey, we love community college. Look, I love community college more than big college because community college was it was kind of like that bridge to the where you still could be in high schoolish kind of sort of, but then not be
Right.
too serious. But I actually and no shout out to the demons in Northwestern State University, but like the community college, I learned the most there because it was just like more hands on, I guess. You know what I mean? But
No, I definitely get what you mean
yeah,
because my first semester of college was actually at a 4 year university. So I was there first, but then it's a little expensive. So I ended up having to come back home and I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna just do community college and there's a difference for sure. And like you said, it's a lot more hands on.
yeah, and like I said, just get that education. Just I'm gonna speak outside of like the show, but continue. Like no matter what you can do, just continue. I know how it is in Washington, but in Louisiana, they try to. If you have a big family, they'll help you with your education. So I know because I'm true. I know my family. We was broke. Man, that
Mm.
was. Woo, Mom, I love
I
you, but geez, but so you're in college, you're on social media, you have a great personality, and you're working too. So, God dang, trust me, I feel your pain because I did it too. Like I had to work, like I worked 40 hours, covered football, and had to go to school. That was just, I mean, it was rough,
It's not for the weak. It's not for the weak.
but it makes you strong. Like, and the funny
It makes
thing
you more.
is, yeah, it does. And funny thing is that like because I went to a 2 year, then went to a 4 year, and then I got my paper, and like, I'm a big guy. I'm not really emotional, but like because I went through so much, I got that paper, and like I'm over here just and like it's like Calvin Hamilton. I'm like, all right, I got it. And then my friends like on Facebook just like, look at Calvin over here crying like a little like, bro, like just really like, because that people don't know, man, college is hard. Like it's hard.
Yeah, it's like I wouldn't. For me, I don't think it's hard. It's just like that wave of independence that makes it hard. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like, and like everything feels like it's on you, and that's for me. That's what makes it so hard. Like, it's you got to learn a lot.
Because you're purposely going to school, not you're not doing it like because your parents are telling you to. Like
Right.
you're
Yeah.
purposely, going to school. So you mentioned that you do have a big family, and that's part of the Polynesian
Mhm.
culture. I've met, I honestly, I'm like, shout out to Taj. Sorry, I had to throw it in there. I had to throw it in there. I know you might say something about it, but I had to throw it in there. But your family is big, and like your family is very active and cool. So like that's pretty cool. Like so, like just kind of people, because you kind of broke it down to me before we recorded, and you had to educate me about like what exactly is your ethnicity and your culture. Like what exactly is it? Can you break it down the way you did to me before?
Yeah. So the way I explain it to people, like, well, the easiest way for me to explain it to people, like, you think of Asians, right? That's like kind of like the bigger category, but then underneath that category, there's Koreans, there's Japanese, there's Chinese. It's kind of like that for Pacific Islanders. So Pacific Islanders is the main umbrella term, right? And then there's Melanesian, Micronesian, and then Polynesian, which is me. And each one also has its more subcategories. Polynesian being Samoan and Tongan, which is what I am. There's also like Cook Islander and whatnot. So yeah, that's how I usually explain it to people.
So like when it's so you just kind of break it down as like subcategory to Pacific Islander, or do you go to straight Polynesian when they ask you
I'm
like what
sorry.
are like when they ask you like what's your race? Do you just say specifically Pacific Islander so there won't be any confusion, or do you just go straight like Polynesian?
I I don't really say Pacific Islander. It's usually Polynesian or Samoan and Tongan.
Okay,
Yeah.
and like and so like you have a big family. Like where does most of your family come from?
So all of my siblings and I were born here in America, but my parents, they were born in the islands. My mom born in Western Samoa, and my dad born in Tonga.
Okay, have you ever like visited the islands at all, or?
I'm trying. I'm trying. I want
And
to really bad.
yeah, and Chichi is, like I said, just she's very passionate about her culture. We're gonna dig a little bit more into the Polynesian culture on the other side of the break. Make sure you stay tuned to the Straight Up Show podcast. Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of the Straight Up Show podcast. I am your host, Calvin.
And it provides a place for community members to come together and just be straight up with each other.
There's only one rule to our show. You gotta be
fan of our show, you know we take pride in being from Louisiana. From our show's colors to our conversations about food, we love our home state. And since it's Mardi Gras season, the Straight Up Show podcast now has exclusive Louisiana Pride merchandise at our online store. Just visit our website, straightupshowpodcast.com. That's STR8showpodcast.com. Shirts start as low as $19.99. And remember, laissez le bon temps rouler.
Welcome back to the Straight Up Show podcast. I am your host, Calvin. Hey, it is our cultural conversation. We are specifically doing, oh Lord, I said the word specific. We are specifically focusing on our cultural conversation episode today when it comes to the Pacific Islanders. There we go. I'm telling y'all, specific is suspicious and specific. Those are the worst words for me.
Helpful.
But Pacific, telling you, like when you on TV, you gotta memorize words in 30 seconds. You gotta put it all in together, you know. Mm-hmm. So we're focusing on Pacific Islanders subcategory Polynesian with our friend today, good friend of mine, Miss Chichi. Chichi, thank you so much for going. Chichi is one of the coolest people on social media. You are, for real. I'm telling you, y'all have to follow her, and we'll give you her links later on today. But and she's a cool. I knew she was cool when she liked Straw Hat Luffy, and she likes One Piece. So, like, I was like, wait a minute. I was like, hold up. No, she's not cosplaying with Luffy. So, like, tell us some more. Like, how did you get into cosplay, and like, where did you get your fond of anime?
So me and so I'm the third oldest in my family. I have two older brothers, and my brothers, they're anime geeks too. They love anime. So, that's all they ever had on TV, anime, cartoons, whatever. So whatever was on the TV, I'm just watching with them. So I started off with, the like Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, and those were like my first two. And yeah, I just ended up watching that with them. So I grew up loving anime, and it's literally the same thing for my whole family. We all love anime, and that's how it was for my siblings too, because I would always have anime on the TV. So COVID comes and everyone's on social media, right? I'm like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna get back on TikTok, which was originally Musically, and I was like, oh, I'm never getting back on that. But I was like, you know what, I'm in the house all day, I got nothing to do. So doing my little TikTok stuff, and then I'm like on the anime side of TikTok a lot, because that's what I started my TikTok page with anime content. But originally I was only making like skits and stuff, but then I started seeing a lot more like cosplayers, specifically like people of color, POC cosplayers, because when I was younger I would only see white cosplayers. Nothing wrong with that. But then, like, for me, I was just like, man, like, that's not for me. But seeing the POC cosplayers, I was like, oh, maybe I can do a little something like that. So came my freshman year of college, I was like, man, I just really want to. Like, I don't know why. I keep seeing all these POC cosplay. I'm like, I want to do that too. And so that was my first cosplay, was Straw Hat Luffy.
And you kill, like, if y'all follow her on social media, her cosplay game is on point. Like, my girl is killing it. I was like, wait a minute,
I'm still new to it.
No, you did a good job. Your details is good. I'm like, wait a minute, because I really feel like, this is no shade to anybody else, I feel like if you cosplay and we can't figure out what you are, it's not really a good cosplay.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm not throwing shade. I'm just saying, like I'm just saying, but like, you did Luffy, like, you did it pretty good, and like, you were like, all right, okay. You would say Demon Slayer, so I was like, all right, look disappointed, but you like Demon Slayer? No, I like Demon Slayer. I said I didn't hear you say it, so I'm like a little disappointed, but
no, I like Demon Slayer too. I actually did sort of an Inosuke cosplay.
Okay.
Yeah.
You did Death Note too, I think, didn't you? Or no? No, is that wrong? No.
No, I think you might be thinking of Jujutsu Kaisen.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
I did a Sukuna one.
Okay, yeah. And I was like, but no, I could talk anime all day. I'm sorry, y'all, but Told you I'm like a new nerd now. Like
It's
just
okay. Me too.
yeah,
Me
it's like all
too.
right. But you mentioned the fact that you are part of the POC and that you are of the Pacific Islander. There we go. Telling y'all, I'm telling y'all, look, in all my years of journalism, those two words have haunted me my whole life. Pacific and specific, telling you. But you are a person of color, and you're here in America, and you're kind of up in the north. So I guess
Mhm.
like you probably won't experience as much like discrimination as we do down here. Did down here, but what like this? Well, first off, before we get into that, like talking to you and you having your family, explain your passion about just being Polynesian because like I said you carried it so well, and to see somebody passionate about their culture, like just explain it, like why are you so passionate about your culture?
I mean, the way I grew up, like, so I'm gonna break it down like a little timeline real quick. So elementary, um, very diverse school. Like I grew up around a lot of Mexicans, a lot of Black people, and there's quite a few Polynesians too. But then junior high hits, we moved to Washington, and I'm going to this very PWI, and I feel like for me that was a big point in my life that affected me a lot. Because it's like it's junior high, you're starting to get a little older, starting to like understand the world a little more. Elementary, not so much. So I'm attending this PWI, and I'm like, I'm trying to fit in with these white people, with these white kids, and like, so I'm trying to fit into these Eurocentric standards, like beauty standards, and just like my personality too. Like I wanted to be, I'm gonna say I wanted to be white, or at least more like white people. But then I think it was my junior year of high school, we moved to Tacoma, and over here it's a mixing pot. Like there, like you'll see everyone and anyone. So there's obviously a lot more Polynesians here, and getting that exposure again, I was like, man, like, what was I trying to do? Like being white. And so it just ever since then I've been like a lot more passionate into like trying to um like learn about my culture, because like I said, like I was a little whitewashed, I'm not gonna lie. So I've been trying to learn and relearn about my culture, and because it's such a beautiful thing, and like I I don't want that for my siblings, my younger siblings, because I'm the third oldest. I have six younger siblings, and I want them to be passionate about their culture and be like, it's nothing to be ashamed about. And there's no need to change like to fit in with white people or just anyone else. It's okay to be Polynesian. There ain't nothing wrong with it.
And you got some of the best food too, and like some of the best food too. Um, um, like trust me, like I resonate with you because I went to predominantly PWI too, and just to be like the only black kid in the school, it's like I had to prove something. It felt like and but I don't really, and I resonate with you because like I didn't realize how things were until after high school, because when you're out in the real world, and so to sit there, and I was, I was prom king and stuff like that. But you can hear it in my voice. I talk not like the average, what people would assume the black guy is, but I resonate with you, and it's kind of like you have to do some self because and my biggest, and I tell people on the show all the time, like my biggest regret is one, not going to an HBCU, two, uh, not knowing about the Black Tulsa, Black Wall Street in Oklahoma, which was like, where black people had their own like, banks and stuff like that, and it was bombed on, or I'm over here in my 30s, early 30s, and I'm like, I never knew about that. That wasn't taught to me in
Right.
school. And so like I can understand what you're saying. Like, you kind of get away from like who your identity is and stuff like that. Um, so you said you're now learning more about your culture. Like, what are some things that like I don't know and people don't know about your culture that you're learning?
It's never a moment of silence. I can tell you there's a lot of stuff going on outside this room right now. I can hear it. I'm not sure if you guys can hear it, but it's just never a moment of silence. And growing up in a Polynesian household, it's like, I mean, I don't know how to explain it, because to me it's just like normal
It's
everyday
normal.
things.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's normal. Like I said, never a moment of silence, and uh, always cleaning. Always cleaning. There's nothing that doesn't need to be cleaned. I mean, we got currently actually my brother just came home for the holidays. So currently we got 11 people in the house. So there's always dishes, there's always counters that need to be cleaned, floors that need to be vacuumed. Um oh, and I guess since we're speaking about what it's like growing up in a Polynesian household, a lot of Polynesians tend to be religious, specifically Christian. My family is too. My mom is Mormon and my dad's Methodist. So there's always like family prayers, stuff like that. Especially like this, it's the holidays right now, so we have things called like family home evenings. Come together, pray, have spiritual thought, all that kind of stuff.
And like you say your family's from the islands, right? So like, what were
Mhm.
some things your family would kind of like tell y'all about the islands?
So my parents, both of them, they were young when they moved here to America, so they weren't over there for too long. You know what I'm saying? But they would say like, my dad was there a little bit longer than my mom. He would say, they don't speak about it often. That's what I'm saying. But he says it's just there's not as many opportunities, I think, is how he would phrase it. So yeah.
Kind of like here, and it's crazy because like I can resonate with you a lot, like on a lot of stuff, because like growing up in Louisiana, like
Hmm.
it's black and white. It's not, you don't see diversity. And then it took me to move from Louisiana to Dallas to see, like, because think about it, when you first come to America, you're either going to New York, you're either going to LA, or you either going to Dallas, because it's where the international flights come
Hmm.
from. So a lot of people have set up shop in Dallas. So like where I live at right now is mostly Indian, like, East Indians or West Indians, and it's Indian Asian, sorry, and
Hmm.
it's more of like, Chinese or Korean or Vietnamese people. So like it's just a culture shock to see like other cultures, like not black and
Okay,
white.
I get what you're
Yeah, and like to my bank right now, it's not even in English, like it's partially English. I've never
saying.
had
Hmm.
like a bank statement to where it has Mandarin on it. And I'm like,
Oh,
wait,
what?
what? Yeah, So, but
Yeah.
I can go like 30 miles down the street and I'll be in like a Mexican culture area. So it's just I've never been in a melting pot area in my life. So I get what you're saying. Like you're so used to like what's normal, and
Yeah.
like my friend, she's Vietnamese and she thought Medea was a real woman, you know.
No way.
Yes. It's so like,
What?
yes. And it's just like something that was really common to her. Like, wait, you can't tell it's not a man?
Oh man.
I know. So one thing about the Samoan or Polynesian culture, Pacific Island, that I've always noticed is that, and even with the black culture too, we're like athletic people.
Yeah.
And your family is no different. Like your family is super athletic. Like what kind of sports y'all into?
So all of my brothers, they've all played football. That's kind of a Polynesian thing too. All the boys are always in like football or rugby. For us, it was football. Me, in high school, I did volleyball, I did basketball, I did track, and then I also did flag football. That's what my sisters are doing right now this season, flag football. One of them is also doing wrestling, and my brother's doing wrestling too. It's all over the place. We do a lot.
And I'm not for sure if you know who Dak Prescott is. Do you know who that is? Dak Prescott. He's a football player for the Cowboys.
Okay. Hmm.
It's okay if you don't know. It's okay.
I
So
heard the name. I've heard the name of the Cowboys, but I'm not exactly sure. I can't say I know what his position is or whatever.
Yeah. Well, he's a quarterback, the big quarterback
Okay.
down here. And so I played football against his brother. His brother,
Mhm.
and I'm a big boy, right?
What?
And his brother was about 6'6", about
Mhm.
400 something pounds in high school.
God.
So naturally, the only Samoan I seen in my whole life was like on TV, and they were always like, bigger people,
Mhm.
So we always called him Big Samoa, you know. And it wasn't
Yep.
until later on that we found out he was just mixed. I'm like, oh, he was just a big dude, He's so if you see Dak Prescott, you would think he's Samoan, but he's not. He's actually half black. As I'm telling you, like we didn't, but like naturally, you would think that because he's 6'6" and he's 400 pounds in high school,
So
we
funny.
thought that he would. We called him Big Samoa, and I felt so embarrassed. Like, wait a minute, your mom's white and your dad's black. I'm so ignorant. So like, so, but there are so many people who are just equally ignorant about the culture itself. And you say your brothers wrestle, and this is where we're going to kind of dive into like the negative side of the Polynesian culture, to where
Mhm.
you know, uh, admittedly, so I'm a wrestling fan, and I've learned about the Rikishis and stuff like that, and the Usos, which is like I didn't know it was it's Usi. I didn't know it was a real word, but uh
So,
Usos, yeah. And so, you know the Usos, right? You know them, or
the WWE wrestlers, right?
yes,
Those
correct,
guys?
yes.
Mhm.
Okay,
I've heard.
so you being you, and you know how to handle yourself very well, which is very admirable, by the way. Uh, you know how to address trolls, uh, very well. And I already asked for permission to say this, but somebody said you look like a certain person in wrestling, and just tell people when they said this. Who first off, tell people who they say you look like, and how did you address these people?
All the time, I be getting told as soon as I be starting the TikTok lives, it's, "Oh, you look like Dwayne the Rock Johnson." At first, personally, I didn't really get those comments until I started doing social media. Like, no one in real life ever really told me that. So it was when social media started. So when I first got those comments, I was like, "Oh, haha," like that's I laughed it off because that was the first time I ever been told it. I didn't think I was gonna be told it that often, but it just kept occurring, and I was like, "All right." Like at first it was funny, but now I don't even see the resemblance. He's just the one Polynesian man that first of all, he's half Samoan and half black, so he's like it's like he like he's not even full Polynesian, you know what I'm saying? And nothing wrong with that because me, I love doing the Rock Johnson. He be repping us out there, both sides of his he be repping black people and Samoan people, you know? But it's just like it's the one Polynesian person, it's this half Samoan dude, and you have to constantly be like, "Oh, you look half Samoan, and you look like Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Oh my gosh, that Dwayne the Rock Johnson's daughter." And so after a while, I was just like, I just get fed up. It's either immediately blocked or like I just like I mock them. I'm like, "Oh, ha, ha, ha," like.
The only
uh,
she can do it the only way Chi does it. Like telling y'all have to experience this when you're off the cuff and you're just doing it. Chi, thank you so much for doing this. We're gonna have a little bit more with Chi and about the Polynesian culture on the other side of the break. Make sure you stay tuned to the Straight Up Show podcast.
Voting. It's a right, a privilege, and a responsibility. Many have made the ultimate sacrifice just so we could have the ability to vote on what we believe is best for us and our community. So, we here at Straight Up ask you to do your research, let your voice be heard, and be proud to say, I straight up voted.
Years ago, my family had us scared when we thought my mom had breast cancer. It was painful to see her go through all the testing and witnessing her be just as scared. Fortunately, she did not have breast cancer, but millions of women and men aren't as lucky. So we here at Straight Up are supporting and standing with those who are battling and have survived breast cancer with our official breast cancer awareness merchandise. Just visit our website, straightupshowpodcast.com, and get yours today. All proceeds will be donated to local breast cancer foundations. So we encourage you not only to get educated, but join us as we stand straight up to breast cancer.
Hey everybody out there, I'm Sultan Salahuddin from Southside. Season 3 is out right now on HBO Max. Make sure you tune in, and make sure you tune in to the Straight Up Podcast Show whenever you are online. Peace.
Welcome back to the Straight Up Show podcast. I am your host, Calvin, joined by my lovely host, Miss Chi-Chi. Thank you so much for joining the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and we've been having fun, cracking up, and jokes, and we're continuing our cultural conversation series. I'm big on culture, love culture, and you know what? I really think that moving out of the state of Louisiana helped me realize there's a bigger culture outside of just black and white. Which, you know, growing up, that's kind of how we were, and even in America, like there are other races besides Americans. So it's not just American; there's other races that have American, but a lot of Americans think, oh, it's just America. So you might hate me for saying that, but there's Africa, there's Australia, there's Europe, there's, Zimbabwe, there's other places, Zambia, like that's a country too. See, I'm putting you on game and didn't cost you any education at all. All you gotta do is just watch the show and you might learn some things. So, and truth be known, with this podcast, we have been able to bridge relationships with people. And that is something that I want to keep doing because you may not know about the culture, but you get somewhat of an education to where, you know how you be on Google and you see someone online and you go to Google and it makes you go to Wikipedia and then it makes you go to YouTube and do that with us because we want you to understand the Polynesian culture, the Pacific Islander culture, and just keep learning more about it and get educated. So when you come around someone like Chi-Chi, you won't call her Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. It's disrespectful, like crazy. So, but speaking of like wrestling and the culture, like you said, getting back into it right now, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson does rep the Samoan and Polynesian culture a lot. So I just found out the word "oos" means like brother, right? Oos means like brother, yeah, like or feeling oosy or something like that. But they have with these wrestlers, they have. What's the importance of having like the tribal tattoos and stuff? Like, what's the importance behind that?
So traditionally, it had more to do with status, like especially like I don't know all the specifics about it, but I know like certain like placement on the bodies, like an arm sleeve or like a leg sleeve. It represents your status and like what tribe you're from. Or not tribe, village, what village you're from. But more so nowadays, I mean, it can still represent that for sure, especially like more specifically in the islands. But I feel like over here in America, I feel like it's more just like representation, sort of like oh, like look, this is me, like I'm Pacific Islander, like at least like from my perspective, like because I do plan on getting a tribal tattoo. I still want to have to learn like more of the specifics behind it because it's not just a bunch of lines, like a lot of the lines or the patterns have their own different meanings. And like I said, the placement can mean something too. Like I know like on the upper, like on the thighs for the women, like that means something. But yeah, usually like I think modern day here in America is more just like representation,
Yeah, that's crazy, and I love those tattoos. I mean, like, can I get one? Or because I'm not from a tribe, it's like disrespectful, like to get one of those, or what? Do you know? Maybe
So
so. I'm thinking so.
a lot of people have different opinions on it. Some people might say, "Oh, go ahead, do what you want," Other people might be like, no, only Pacific Islanders or like Polynesians can get it. And then there's also a group of people that are like, it depends. I know that there have been some people who are not Polynesian, but they're married to a Polynesian, and they get it because of like it holds like significance, and they want to do something for their partner. Me personally, I'm more on the side of I'd rather you be actually be Polynesian in order to get it, but it's also like I can kind of see like if it really holds some like significance to you, and like you're not just getting it just to get it just because it looks cool, you know what I'm saying? Because like I said, the tattoos, they're not just a bunch of lines. Like they do actually like the patterns do actually have their own different meanings and whatnot. So like there's the cultural significance behind it, you know.
All right, yeah, that's cool. So like I feel the way about Chinese symbols too as well. Let me ask you this, like, because you're not taught before the show, and like I know with I always, especially with I take pride of being an African American. I think one of our biggest issues is that we don't, as African Americans, we don't have an identity, a true identity in a country. And I feel like a lot of stuff is kind of like we're getting our culture is kind of like getting like not really washed it, but watered down a little bit to where we don't take pride in our culture. You have been somebody that's been very vocal about addressing like trolls about your culture and stuff like that. You addressed about like the culture, like people saying the culture is dying and stuff like that. That the Polynesian culture or Samoan culture is dying. Like what were you hearing about stuff like that?
I think it's more so people just like we don't have that much representation right now. I personally think we're starting to get there, you know. But there's just not but like it's still not to that point where it's like mainstream or like a lot of people know about it. So I think the main issue with that it's a lot of has to do with representation. So they think oh like and also with colonization colonization like with Hawaii, like they were colonized heavy, and like they have like a lot of native Hawaiians like they're homeless in their own homeland, you know what I'm saying? Like so and it's just seen as this tourist spot rather than like Hawaii. It's a they're Pacific Islanders, and they have their own culture. Like it's just like that's just what it's seen for. And I feel like a lot of people are saying that's gonna happen to the other islands next, like especially Western Samoa, like because I was getting comments about that on my live one time that Hawaii is just a tourist spot and that's the only way it thrives. Like, but the thing with that, like, is this Western idea and that colonization that just makes it seem like it's dying out. You know what I'm saying? But it's not dying out. They're still there. Native Hawaiians are still there in their homeland. You know, Samoans, Tongans, we're here. Pacific Islanders, they're here. But it's just that representation.
And for those who are kind of like just like, because I like addressing trolls, period, and like, and there are a lot of people who may watch this and say, you know what, she just doesn't. And before we go any further, like this is a disclaimer. Even though Chi Chi is Pacific Islander and she is Tongan and Samoa, she does not represent everybody. So her opinions are just her opinions. What she says is not for everybody. So let's be fair. So she's just talking about her experiences and her opinions. So we'll make that very clear right now. But with that being said, for those who don't know or don't try to put game on the culture itself, why should people really care about the Polynesian culture?
I feel like each culture has its own beauty, its own significance, right? And that applies to every culture, including Polynesians, right? And with us, I feel like people are like, "Oh, Polynesians, like, well, what do they bring to the table?" You know, and it's just like any other culture. We have our food, we have our dances, and like we mentioned earlier, the tattoos. A lot of people are always like questioning about the tattoos, like, "Oh, can I get one? Like, what does it mean?" Like, we bring our own, like, we bring what we have to the table, just like anyone else, you know, and like there's no like we're here, like we're a very small minority. Like if you look in demographics, there's usually Pacific Islanders at the bottom. That's less than 1%. but that doesn't mean that, that less than 1% isn't here. We're still here, just like any other culture.
And shouldn't be excluded at all, because I feel like us as a melting pot in the world, not just the country, but in the world, we take away from some other cultures. You know what I mean? And it's just like, if we can take away from them, why not bring them to the table too? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I feel about that. And like I said, I was first introduced to this culture through food. From working in a restaurant. Speaking of food, like, tell us about the food in the household with 11 kids. Like, what kind of food did your mom? What do y'all cook in the household, Polynesian house?
I mean, there's just so much. Like recently, for Christmas just came by. We had Christmas dinner, right? And so for that, I had made oka. Oka is a raw fish dish, right? So there's different fish you can make it with, but I made it with salmon, and there goes different vegetables into it. Like what I put in was salmon, green onions, cucumbers, tomatoes, and I think that was it. Oh, and lemon, yeah. And so that was what was made, and then you also put coconut milk and half and half. Chef's kiss. It's so good, so good. Really easy to make, actually.
I think I was trying to describe something to you online. It was like a shrimp. It's like a breaded shrimp like dish they had at the Polynesian store, a restaurant.
Yeah, I think I remember. I'm not sure though. Like about any specific Polynesian dishes that have to do around with like shrimp. I think that might be something else, or not something else, but like their own thing. Or maybe I just haven't heard about it. Like it might be a different like Polynesian. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, is this something?
Like I said, I was just like, no, I'm good. Like, what's some other stuff that you may cook, like desserts or drinks or?
We made musubi for Thanksgiving. That's good. It's similar to like sushi. Desserts we have. Oh my gosh, my favorite. I'm just like getting hungry thinking about it. There's panqueques. They're like little pancake balls, kind of, and yeah, so good, so good. You can like add different things into it, like chocolate chips or like just any like other sort of sweets. So there's panqueques, like little pancake balls. There's panipopo. They're basically buns, right, covered in coconut milk. So good, so good. You gotta your face.
I might have to get some of this. Like, that sounds pretty good. Like, what's Chi-Chi's like favorite Polynesian dish?
It's hard. I think, like I mentioned before, there's oka, there's musubi. I love both of those, but I think one of my favorites has to be sapsui.
What's that?
So how I usually describe it, it's kind of like spaghetti, sort of, but not really. Like, so there's the noodles. I think what we actually use, like they be selling it in the Asian markets. I think they're like rice noodles. I think.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure, but it's like a noodle, right? And then like there's usually some type of meat in it. I really like it when it's with like with steak or with CP lamb. And that one also has vegetables, usually like corn. Depends. Corn is usually one of the main things that's in it, but you can also put in like what you would call it. What's those green vegetables? I'm trying to remember.
You asking the wrong person.
Oh, peas, corn, peas.
Okay.
But yeah, it's one of my favorites. And with some rice, always gotta have some rice.
Man, I just remember when I worked at Kontiki, like it was like a specific, like it was tilapia, and it had like so it was either crawfish or shrimp, but it's kind of like something like smothered on top of it. I don't know what it was. It was like a tilapia fish, and it had like either shrimp or crawfish or something like covered, smothered on it.
Mhm.
I'm not for sure what it was, but like I remember that dish, and they had like it's like a twice baked potato, but it was like had like different stuff on it too. I'm not for sure.
That reminds me of like lucifi. I'm not sure though. I could be thinking of something completely different.
If I can find that menu, I'm gonna have to send it to you because it's like
Uh,
because that was 2000. I'm gonna show my age now. That was 2008. So
mhm.
yeah, geez, I was in high school. I'm sorry, my bad. Whew, shows you my age, man. I'm getting old. But no, Chi, thank you so much for joining us today and coming on the Strap Show podcast to talk about your culture. Before you go, do you want to tell people how they can find you on social media and to embrace the Chi energy that I fell in love with? I just like I have alerts on y'all's live because like when I'm
No
at
way.
home, I'm man for real. Because when I'm at home, I cut everything off. I'm like, let me just listen. Like, and then like it's all good. Then like there's Chi, but then all of a sudden like Lolo was like, you know what? Let me tell you, and she just goes into storytelling. It's just like-
Her storytelling is something else. Trust me.
and she's so dramatic with it, just like because you know it's real. Like that's the realness. She is like she's telling you. She puts you in the story with her storytelling. So,
That's
I'm sorry.
how Lolo is.
So how can people find you on social media and see the greatness of your family and all that stuff?
So the two main social medias I use is Instagram and TikTok, and both of them are the same username, Chichi Fifita, ChiChiFifita.
And I'm glad that she said that because I am not going to repeat that. I'll have a ticker to have it below, and you'll see all the information. Make sure you guys follow Chi, learn more about the Polynesian culture because it's a culture that I'm still getting familiar with, but I have embraced it. What I did embrace, I loved it, and I'm pretty sure you will too. Chi, once again, thank you so much for coming on the Strap Show podcast.
Thank you for having me. I absolutely loved it.
Thank you. And that's the end of our show, guys. We wanted you to join the conversation. It's not in right now. Go to our website at strapshowpodcast.com. That's STR8 upshowpodcast.com. You can see our other cultural conversations where we talk to people from Australia, France, Africa, even in Poland as well. Make sure you learn about the conversation. Austria, sorry. But Austria as well. Shout out to Austria. But we have all these conversations about different cultures. We want you to join the conversation. And like Chi said, join the tables. We want to be as equal as well. We have something to say as well. So we want you to join us at the table so we can have these conversations. If you want to support our podcast, go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/Strap Show Podcast 318. That's patreon.com/Strap Show Podcast 318. STR8 Up Show Podcast 318. Until then, there's only one rule to our show. You got to be
Straight up.
all right. See y'all later.